You've probably been told that to be heard in a relationship, you need to explain your feelings, talk everything through, and make absolutely sure he understands where you're coming from. You've been taught to be accommodating, endlessly patient, and to use your words to build a bridge straight to his heart. But what if I told you that very advice is the thing that's actually pushing him away? What if all the over-explaining, the emotional gymnastics, and the constant effort to be understood is teaching him that your words don't really have weight? The truth is, the way you speak to a man tells him everything he needs to know about how to treat you. It's like a silent curriculum for respect. And high-value women, the ones who are cherished, respected, and seen as irreplaceable, don't perform emotional labor just to be understood. They don't chase, they don't beg, and they definitely don't over-explain. Instead, they use a communication style that commands respect and inspires a deep, unwavering devotion. This isn't about playing games. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that every word you speak is an extension of that self-respect. High-value communication isn't about saying more. It's about speaking with a clarity that makes your words matter. In this video, I'm going to break down 9 game-changing shifts in communication that command respect, inspire love, and can turn your relationship dynamics completely around. We'll cover everything from setting boundaries without drama to expressing your needs with unshakable confidence. By the end of this, you will understand exactly how to speak in a way that makes you not just an option, but a priority. Principle number 1, you express standards, not preferences. Let's start with one of the biggest shifts you can make. It's the difference between being a woman he hopes not to disappoint and a woman he's afraid to lose. It's the move from expressing preferences to embodying standards. A preference is a wish. It's soft, flexible, and totally negotiable. It sounds like, "I'd really prefer it if you called more often," or "It would be nice if you planned a date for once." Can you hear that undertone? It's a suggestion laced with hope. It's basically asking for permission for your own needs to be met. When you state a preference, you're subconsciously signaling that his compliance is optional and that you're ready to be let down. It puts him in the driver's seat of your happiness. A standard, on the other hand, is a requirement. It's a non-negotiable reflection of your self-worth. A standard isn't about controlling him. It's about controlling what you will and will not accept in your life. It's not a demand you place on him, but a boundary you draw around yourself. A high-value woman knows her peace and emotional safety are not up for debate. So, what does this sound like in the real world? Let's use the calling more often scenario. The preference-based approach. "I wish you'd call me more. I feel like we don't talk enough." This is just a complaint dressed up as a request. It focuses on his failure and how you feel a sense of lack. Honestly, it's weak. The standard-based approach. For me to feel connected and secure in a relationship, consistent communication is really important. That looks like talking on the phone a couple of times a week to actually hear each other's voices. See the difference? The first is a critique of his behavior. The second is a statement of your needs. It's not an attack, it's just information. You aren't telling him what to do. You're telling him what you require to thrive in a partnership. It's calm, clear, and confident. You're essentially saying, "This is what a healthy relationship looks like for me. Can you be a part of that?" A man who is genuinely interested and emotionally mature will hear this not as a threat, but as a roadmap. He'll recognize you're a woman who knows herself and values herself. He'll see meeting that standard not as a chore, but as a way to win you. And a man who isn't willing to meet that standard will filter himself out, which is the whole point. Here's another one. He's always late. The preference approach. "I really hate it when you're late. Can you please try to be on time?" Again, this is a complaint that gives him all the power. He can try, and if he fails, well, hey, at least he tried, right? The standard approach. "I really value my time, and it's important to me to be with someone who respects it. Going forward, I can wait for about 15 minutes, but after that, I'm going to go ahead with my plans." This isn't an ultimatum, it's a boundary. You aren't punishing him. You are honoring yourself. You are calmly communicating the natural consequence of a behavior that doesn't align with your standards. You're showing him, with your actions, that your time is valuable. When you start speaking in the language of standards, the whole dynamic shifts. You stop being the chaser, the complainer, or the hopeful one. You become the chooser. You become the one who sets the tone. Your communication becomes a quiet, powerful filter that only allows men who are capable of valuing you the way you value yourself to get close. Principle number 2, you prioritize his actions over his words. A man can weave an entire world for you with his words. He can say he misses you, that you're incredible, that he's ready for something real. But let's be honest, words are cheap, easy, and totally intoxicating. So many women spend months, even years, living off a diet of beautiful words, starving for the actions to back them up. A high-value woman understands this distinction with absolute clarity. She pays attention to reality. She listens to his words, sure, but she believes his actions. His behavior is the ultimate truth. For her, a man's promises are just pretty noise until they're validated by his consistency. And this isn't just about him. It's about you. It's about making sure your own behavior lines up with this truth. If you say you want a man who is consistent, but you keep investing your time and energy in a man who gives you sporadic texts and last-minute plans, your actions don't match your desires. You are teaching him that his low-effort behavior is enough to keep you around. So how do you communicate from this place? First, you stop asking for clarity and start observing it. Let's say a guy goes distant for a few days and then pops up with a casual, "Hey, thinking of you." The common response, which comes from insecurity, is to seek verbal reassurance. "I was starting to wonder what was going on. You've been so quiet. Is everything okay with us?" This question is just begging for a comforting lie. It's asking him to patch up the disconnect with more cheap words. The high-value response is rooted in observation. You don't ignore his inconsistency, but you also don't chase him down for an explanation. You might reply with something light and non-committal like, "Hey there, hope you're having a good week." Your response is polite, but emotionally neutral. You aren't rewarding his low-effort breadcrumb with a flood of your emotional energy. Internally, you're not celebrating his text. You're filing it away as data, and the data says, "This man disappears and reappears casually." That's not the behavior of a man who is serious about building something. Your communication then becomes about adjusting your investment based on his actions. If his actions are inconsistent, your energy and availability become inconsistent. You don't announce it. You don't have a big confrontation. You just pull back. You get busy with your own awesome life. You're not punishing him. You're protecting your energy. Your lack of availability becomes the communication. It says, "Your level of effort doesn't grant you unlimited access to me." Another scenario. He says he wants a serious relationship, but his actions scream casual. He only wants to see you late at night and never introduces you to his friends. The common mistake is to confront his words with more words. You said you wanted a relationship, but it doesn't feel like it. Why are you acting this way? This just invites arguments and defensiveness. He can easily say, "Of course I want one. I'm just busy, stressed, taking it slow." And you're right back in the confusion loop. A high-value woman confronts his words with her actions. She sees the misalignment and decides if this is a reality she wants to be a part of. When he reaches out for another last-minute hangout, she communicates her standard through her behavior. The before script, "Oh, I don't know, it's kind of late," and then probably caving in. The after script, "That doesn't work for me tonight, but I'd love to see you. I'm free to get dinner on Thursday if you'd like to plan something then." This one response says everything without any drama. It says, "I'm not your last-minute option. I'm a woman you take on proper dates. I have my own life and schedule. The ball is in your court to step up." She trusts that his response to this will tell her everything she needs to know. If he steps up and plans the date, his actions are starting to align with his words. If he disappears or complains, his actions have given her the final, undeniable truth. A high-value woman doesn't argue with reality. She just adjusts how much space she gives it in her life. Principle number 3. You speak with emotional precision, not emotional volume. One of the biggest myths about being a strong woman is that it means bottling up your emotions. But real strength, high-value strength, isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about expressing them with precision. Think of it as the difference between a flood and a laser. Emotional volume is what happens when our unprocessed feelings burst out in a chaotic, reactive wave. It's the tearful, multi-paragraph text sent at 2 a.m. It's the barrage of accusations when he finally calls. It's the passive-aggressive sighs and sarcastic comments. Emotional volume is loud, messy, and driven by anxiety. It's designed to force a reaction, but it almost always backfires by eroding respect and attraction. It makes a man feel attacked or overwhelmed, not inspired to connect. Emotional precision, on the other hand, is calm, clear, and confident. It's the ability to distill a powerful feeling into a simple, direct statement. It doesn't aim to punish or manipulate, it aims to illuminate. It's about owning your feeling and delivering it as a piece of information about you, not a judgment of him. Let's look at a classic scenario. He does something that hurts your feelings, like making a joke at your expense in front of his friends. The emotional volume approach would be to either A, say nothing, but give him the silent treatment later, making him guess what's wrong, or B, cause a scene right then and there, yelling, "How could you say that? You always embarrass me." Both of these are reactive and don't work. The first is passive-aggressive, the second is a direct attack. The emotional precision approach happens later, in a calm moment. You say, "Hey, earlier, when you made that joke about the specific thing, I felt hurt." Let's break down why this is pure genius. First, the timing. You didn't react in the heat of the moment. You waited, showing emotional maturity. Second, the wording. You used, "I felt," which is a statement about your experience, not an accusation. It's impossible for him to argue with how you felt. You're not saying, "You're a jerk." You're saying, "I felt hurt." This invites empathy, not defensiveness. Third, the clarity. You were specific. There's no room for misunderstanding. Now you let that statement hang in the air. You don't follow it up with, "Homji, and you need to apologize," or, "and you'd better never do it again." You deliver your truth in one clean sentence, and then you are quiet. That silence is where the magic happens. It creates a space for him to step into. It communicates that you're confident enough in your feelings that you don't need to force his response. A good man will hear that precision and step into that space with an apology and a desire to understand. A man who won't will get defensive, which, again, is just more valuable information for you. Another example. You're feeling insecure because he's been less affectionate. Emotional volume. "Why aren't you cuddling me anymore? Don't you find me attractive? Are you losing interest?" This is a waterfall of insecurity, and it's deeply unattractive. It puts him on the spot and makes him responsible for managing your anxiety. Emotional precision. "I've been feeling a little disconnected from you lately. I miss feeling close. I'd love a hug." See the shift? You're still expressing the same core need, but from a place of ownership and vulnerability, not lack and accusation. You state your feeling, disconnected, and then state your need clearly and simply. "I'd love a hug." It's an invitation, not a demand. It's warm, feminine, and incredibly magnetic because it shows you can navigate your own emotional world with grace. Principle number 4. You master the art of the pause. In a world obsessed with noise and instant replies, one of the most powerful tools a high-value woman has is silence. I'm not talking about the angry, punishing silent treatment. I mean the calm, confident, and strategic use of the pause. Most of us talk too much. We do it when we're nervous, when we're seeking approval, or when we're terrified of losing the other person's attention. We fill silences with nervous chatter and rush to explain ourselves. This energy screams insecurity. It says, "I'm working really hard to make you like me." A high-value woman knows that real power in conversation comes from the weight your words carry, and your words carry more weight when there are fewer of them, delivered with intention. She is comfortable with the space between words. She uses the pause to create curiosity, command attention, and flip the dynamic from chasing to being chased. Let's see how this works. First, in conversation. Imagine you're on a date and he asks, "So what are you passionate about?" The common anxious response is to immediately jump in and list your hobbies and passions, talking quickly to prove you're interesting. The high-value response is to receive the question, take a small, almost imperceptible pause, maybe with a slight, thoughtful smile, and then answer. That tiny moment of silence signals that you're thoughtful. It shows you aren't desperate to impress him. It makes him lean in, waiting for your response. It subtly communicates that your attention is a gift, and you give it deliberately. Second, in texting. This is where the power of the pause is so often lost. The temptation is to reply immediately to every text to keep the volley going. A high-value woman is not chained to her phone, waiting for his validation. She has a life. She's present in what she's doing. This means she doesn't always text back right away. This isn't a calculated game of wait 3 hours. It's the natural result of being a woman with a full, engaging life. When a man texts you and you take your time to respond, not because you're playing a game, but because you were in the middle of a workout or a conversation with a friend, it sends a powerful subconscious message. My world does not revolve around you. This creates attraction. It sparks curiosity. He starts to wonder, what is she doing that's more important than texting me back? It positions you as the prize whose attention must be earned. Third, the pause after you set a boundary. This is maybe the most powerful use of silence. As we talked about, when you state a standard, the most important part is what you don't say afterward. You say, "I don't have conversations with people when they raise their voice. We can talk later when you're calm." And then, silence. You don't justify it. You don't soften it. You don't repeat it. You let your words land with their full force. That silence is where your power lives. It forces them to confront the boundary you just laid down. It communicates unshakable self-respect. Any words you add after that just dilute its power. The silence says, "My standard is not up for negotiation." Mastering the pause requires getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and trusting that your presence is valuable enough that you don't need to constantly perform to maintain it. When you speak less, every word you say becomes more significant. Principle number 5. You set boundaries with grace, not aggression. Boundaries are the invisible property lines of your self-respect. They tell people where you end and they begin. A woman without clear boundaries is like a house with no doors. Anyone can just wander in and leave a mess behind. A lot of women are afraid to set boundaries because they think it means being aggressive or bitchy. They worry that saying no will cause conflict. So instead, they hint, they get passive-aggressive, or they say nothing at all until their resentment builds and explodes. A high-value woman knows that a boundary is not an act of aggression. It is an act of self-love. She delivers these boundaries with a unique mix of firmness and grace that commands respect without creating drama. The key difference is the energy behind the boundary. A boundary set from anger is a wall designed to push someone away. A boundary set from self-worth is a filter designed to teach people how to treat you. Let's look at A, before and after. Scenario. He consistently makes last-minute plans, texting you at 9 p.m. on a Friday asking, "What are you up to?" The passive-aggressive response. You feel resentful, so you ignore him for 3 hours and then reply, "Oh, just watching a movie." This is a game. You're trying to punish him, but you haven't communicated anything. The aggressive response. Are you serious? I'm not your last-minute booty call. Lose my number. While the feeling might be justified, the aggressive delivery creates unnecessary conflict. The high-value response. You can either ignore the text if you've decided he's not worth your time, or you can use it as a teaching moment. You reply the next morning or a few hours later with something like, "Hey, I'm not a big fan of last-minute plans, but I'd love to see you soon. If you'd like to get together next week, let me know by Wednesday so we can plan something." Let's analyze why this works so well. It's friendly and warm. Hey, I'd love to see you soon. This shows you're rejecting the behavior, not him. It's crystal clear. I'm not a big fan of last-minute plans. You're stating a fact about yourself. It provides a solution. If you'd like to get together next week, let me know by Wednesday. You are giving him a clear blueprint for how to succeed with you. You've set a powerful boundary without an ounce of aggression. You've stated your standard, kept your dignity, and put the ball in his court. A man who respects you will take note and adjust his approach. A man who's just looking for convenience will fade away. Either way, you win. Another quick one. He dismisses your opinion, saying, "You don't know what you're talking about." The weak response. You go quiet or try to argue your point more frantically. The aggressive response. "Don't you ever talk to me like that." The high-value response. You pause. You look at him calmly. And you say, with no emotional charge, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way." Or simply, "I'm not going to continue this conversation if you're going to be dismissive." And then you change the subject or walk away. You state the boundary and remove yourself from the disrespect. You don't need to lecture him. You just need to protect your dignity. The consequence of disrespect is the loss of your engaged presence. That is the most powerful lesson of all. If these principles are clicking for you and you're ready to stop feeling overlooked and start being cherished, take a second right now to subscribe. My whole mission is to give you the practical tools you need to build relationships based on deep, unshakable, mutual respect. We're just getting warmed up. Now, let's get into the next critical principle. Principle number 6, you become an exceptional listener. In a world full of people just waiting for their turn to talk, the person who truly listens holds incredible power. This might sound like it contradicts the idea of speaking like a high-value woman, but it's actually the foundation. High-value communication isn't a monologue, it's a masterful dialogue where you often gain more influence by listening than by talking. Most people listen to reply. They're already forming their next sentence or judging what the other person is saying. This is surface-level stuff. An exceptional listener does something completely different. She listens to gather information. She listens for character, for values, for consistency, and for what's not being said. Her listening is an active, strategic process. So what does this look like? First, you listen with genuine curiosity, not an agenda. When a man is talking, your main thought isn't, "Does he like me? Am I impressing him?" The high-value mindset flips that question to, "Do I like him? Does what he's saying align with what I'm looking for?" This shift instantly calms you down. You stop performing and start observing. The average question, what do you do for a living? The high-value question, what's the most challenging part of your job? Or what made you decide to go down that path? The first question gets you a job title. The second gives you a glimpse into his character, how he handles challenges, what drives him, his self-awareness. Second, you listen for patterns, not just promises. A man might tell you he's ambitious. But as you listen over a few weeks, you notice a pattern of complaining about his boss, blaming others, and talking about big plans with no action. His words say ambitious, but his narrative pattern says victim. A high-value woman pays more attention to the pattern than the label. She doesn't challenge him on it directly. That would be accusatory. Instead, she files it away as crucial data. She realizes his definition of ambition is different from hers, and she can then make a calm, informed decision about whether she wants that energy in her life. Third, you listen with your whole body. When he's talking, your phone is away. You make eye contact. You are present. This kind of focused attention is so rare, and it makes people feel seen and heard on a deep level. But here's the key. You offer this deep listening as a gift, not as your default setting. You give it to someone who is earning it. If a man is being disrespectful or evasive, you don't reward that with your deep attention. Your attention is a currency, and you invest it wisely. This creates a powerful feedback loop, where he learns that the more he invests in the connection, the more of your beautiful, focused energy he gets. It's not about being submissive or passive. It's about being strategic. It's about understanding that knowledge is power, and the best way to get it is often to close your mouth and open your ears. Principle number 7. You communicate from a place of inherent worth. This principle is the invisible source code running behind all the others. It's the core belief that you are the prize. What does it mean to communicate like you're the prize? It means you are not on an audition. When you talk to a man, you are not trying to win a role in his life. You are not trying to prove you are smart enough, funny enough, or pretty enough. The energy of an audition is needy. It seeks approval. It performs. Instead, you are the casting director. You are calmly assessing if he is a good fit for a role in your already amazing life. This internal mindset shift changes everything. Your tone relaxes. Your questions become more genuine. Your need for his approval vanishes, and in its place comes a quiet, self-assured presence that is incredibly compelling. Let's look at the practical shifts. First, you stop seeking validation with your language. The auditioning woman will tell a story and end it with, seeking confirmation. She might over-laugh at his jokes. She might offer up her accomplishments, trying to prove her value. The casting director woman lets her value speak for itself. She doesn't need to list her credentials. Her confidence is felt, not announced. She doesn't ask, "Do you still like me?" because she's too busy asking herself, "Am I still impressed by him?" Second, you stop over-explaining your no. A woman who isn't secure in her worth feels like her no isn't enough. If she can't go on a date, she feels like she has to give a long-winded excuse so he doesn't lose interest. A woman who knows she is the prize understands that, "No, that doesn't work for me," is a complete sentence. Her time is valuable simply because it's hers. The script looks like this. Him. "Are you free Friday?" Her, who knows her worth. "I'm not available Friday, but thanks for asking. I'm free on Wednesday if you'd like to plan something." No apology, no over-explanation. Just a clear statement of her availability with a warm invitation for him to try again. This communicates that her life is full and that access to her must be planned for and respected. Third, your compliments change. Insecure compliments focus on surface-level things. "You're so handsome," "You're so successful." They can feel like flattery. A woman who knows she's the prize gives compliments that are observations of character. She might say, "I really respect how you took responsibility for that mistake." Or, "Your consistency is something I really admire." These compliments are powerful because they show she is looking past the superficial for character and integrity. It communicates, "I am not easily impressed by shiny objects. I am impressed by substance." This challenges him in the best way possible. It makes him want to be the best version of himself around you. Communicating like you're the prize isn't arrogance. It's a quiet, unshakable self-possession. It's the energy that says, "I am whole and happy with or without you, but I'm open to seeing if you can add to my already wonderful life." That energy is the most magnetic force on earth. In short, we've covered a lot today, from standards over preferences to speaking like a partner, not a parent. It might seem like a lot to remember, but I want you to see the one single thread that runs through every single one of these principles. It is self-respect. This isn't about learning scripts to manipulate a man or playing games. This is about doing the inner work to cultivate such a profound sense of your own worth that your communication naturally reflects it. It's about knowing you are the prize, so you stop auditioning for him. It's about valuing your peace, so you set boundaries with grace. It's about trusting your own wholeness, so you never communicate from a place of neediness. When you embody this level of self-respect, you stop trying to control the relationship or manage his feelings. You simply show up in your full worth, and you communicate from that place of calm, clear, confident power. And here's the thing. A high-quality, emotionally mature man won't be intimidated by this. He'll be inspired. He will recognize your value because it mirrors his own. He will rise to meet your standards and cherish your boundaries. But this isn't a magic trick. Relationship outcomes always depend on both people. The real goal is to create a communication style that honors you. This way of speaking becomes your filter. It quietly removes the men who aren't ready for you and acts as a powerful magnet for the one who is. You'll no longer feel like you're chasing or fighting to be heard. You will simply be. And your presence, communicated through this lens of high self-worth, will be more than enough. So my challenge to you is this. Don't try to memorize all 9 at once. Pick one. Pick the one that really hit home. And for the next week, focus only on that one shift. Maybe the next time you feel the urge to double text, you put your phone down and go for a walk instead. Maybe the next time you say no, you do it without a long apology. Small shifts, practiced consistently, create huge changes. You have the power to change the dynamics in your love life, and it all starts with the words you choose to speak, to him, and more importantly, to yourself. What is the one communication habit you are committed to changing, starting today? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content to help you build the love life you truly deserve.